We've got the third and final race of the weekend for the modified Fords coming up, and it's Dave Cockell after 2 victories who starts on pole position for race 3 alongside once again the V8 Cobra engine car Simon Light. Then Paul Neville will start third this time alongside Ashley Shelswell on the second row of the grid. Tony Paxman and Martin Reynolds then come next in a pair of Ford Escorts. Paxman's Mark 1, Reynolds is Mark 2. And then we have Mike Thurley and Wayne Crabtree on the fourth row of the grid. Another pair of Mark 1s, the Zack Speed Mark 1 with Thurley and the regular Mark 1 Escort of Crabtree. Then it's the Nigel Craig Mark 2 Escort and John Edwards Parson in Class C in his Fiesta XR2, rounding off the top 10 starters. Harry Hardy in his Ford Puma starts on row 6 in 11th place alongside Malcolm Wise, who should be in a Ford Sierra, not a Cosworth, not an Escort Cosworth. Lloyd Jameson in his Escort Cosworth starts in 13th alongside Justin Fuller in his Puma. And then we have in 15th place Rob Lewis of Club Racing UK fame. He starts on the 8th row alongside Jason Stone. Ford Focus ST170, Fiesta ST150 on row 8. Row 9 is another ST150 of Tim Sandu and Kevin Hadfield to round off the top 18. In the Puma, and then the Smiths in their Escort Mark 1, and Richard Sanders in his ST150 rounds out the top 20 starters, and still the grid comes through. Mark Hadfield in his Ford Puma, Dave Barrett in his Class C Fiesta Mark 4 comes next on the 11th row of the grid. Row 12 sees Anton Martin his Mark 3 Escort, don't see many of those in the modified Fords, the Mark 3 RS 1600i, and Gurpreet Sandhu in his ST150, and still they come, Robert Tinto in his Ford Puma, another Mark 1 Escort, Dave Gadd. That car I think's pulled to a halt, at least it was Jack, yes, at the end of the race, race 2. Jack Gadd hopefully is there in his Mark 1 Escort RSR. Ben Cochran also, I don't think it's the same Ben Cochran Formula 4s, but he's there in the Ford Fiesta Mark 2 as well. I think that's also an XR2 as well. So 28 cars here. Of course, no surprise, some of the drivers keeping cool by opening the driver's doors and just fanning themselves to get a bit of hopefully cooler air into the car as much as possible. Again, the temperature's still quite high here at Snetterton, some 31 degrees according to my weather apps and taskbar indicators. So rolling start as always for the modified Fords, and again this wonderful eclectic mix of blue oval machines is absolutely wonderful. Again, a big shout out to SHP, forgive me, Motorsport, SHP Motorsport Engineering, which is run by, of course, Sonny Howard, though he's the man who is more known to having fabricated cars such as the pickups and, of course, other things as well. I think he's also a bit of a Ford advocate alongside that too. And great to have SHP sponsoring this weekend's rounds of the Modified Ford Series. So thank you to Sonny Howard and everyone at SHP Motorsport Engineering for the support of the series. Cars still forming up, I think, on the back of the grid. And once we get them underway, the Jaguar XF Sport Brake safety car, provided by the club's associate sponsors and partners at Run Your Fleet, will lead the cars off. I think you can hear the whistle going, so doors shut. And the safety car will launch away from its standing position. Yep, the 30-second board is going up now as well. Next with the green flag, and away onto the formation lap will go our 28-strong field of modified Fords. There goes the Jaguar, and then the rest of the field follows suit in formation. So off the line goes Dave Cockell's Escort Cosworth. It was good to hear from the top 3 talking about the story of some of their cars. I didn't realise that the Escort Cosworth that Dave Cockell had was an ex-tarmac rally car, so it makes sense with how quick it is and how purpose-built it is. And he's made some modifications to it and put several hundred horsepower more into that car. So no wonder it's such a leviathan on the straights when he really turns the boost up. Also fascinating to hear about Simon Light's V8 Capri as well, with that beautiful Cobra engine in there. Listen to it go past, and it looks like a proper little proper sort of race car with its nicely proportioned rear wing and front splitter and wide arches, and has a beautiful sounding V8. Sounds like an Aussie V8 supercar, which is exactly what you want from a car like that. So disappointed not to see either of the 2 RS500s on the grid. No Dave Matthias, and there's no... Well, no, I think Dave Matthias is there. I think I saw that he was on the grid. No, sorry, I'm thinking Malcolm Wise. So the 2 Sierra RS500s, we saw Stephen Scott Dunwoody's car pull to the side of the road in race 2 with mechanical issues, possibly overheating, and which isn't too much of a surprise, I suppose, given the fact that we've had, you know, quite high temperatures here, and cars having to cope with trying to keep themselves as cool as possible. But sadly, no Dave Matthias either, so both of the RS500s, very sadly, not in this last race. The highest placed Sierra is, of course, the evergreen Sierra XR4 Ti, which tends to be irregular in modified Fords. That's Ashley Shelswell's car with the V6. I think it's a V6 Cougar engine. It's a Ford V6 nonetheless. But as they make their way around, there's another of the Escort Cosworths. I think that's Lloyd Jameson's car. I think it might well be. And either he's changed that car from how it originally looked, and that was also an ex-Group A rally car, which he started off with. Lloyd Jameson coming all the way from Scotland to race in this series. And of course, as you said, Malcolm White has been listed in the entry list as being a Ford Escort Cosworth, but he's actually running in a Ford Sierra Sapphire Cosworth instead. So, making their way around on the formation lap. It doesn't seem appropriate to call it a warm-up lap, or it seems ironic to call it a warm-up lap, given that the temperatures are so high, given that the track temperature could be quite high. I'd imagine it's somewhere possibly into the 40s. I'd imagine. I'd be surprised if it wasn't, even higher. So as they make their way down towards the complex of Brunton Nelson, down the Bentley Straight, now they start to, they are weaving from side to side, so they're getting some temperature into the tyres, but obviously you kind of generate, I guess, more heat into the tyres by actually weaving from side to side and sort of brushing the surface of the tyre to create the friction in order to heat it up. And then they will get the signal in a moment, or at least they will get the note after the driver's briefing this morning. But there we go. So the lights are off the safety car. What that now means, that's their signal to start forming up one by one on the grid. So they'll form up, sorry, 2 by 2, forgive me, 2 by 2 on the grid, side by side. And they'll start doing so here from the exit of Nelson. So remember, it's the silver Escort Cosworth of Dave Cockell on pole. It's the metallic blue Capri V8 of Simon Light alongside him on the front row of the grid. And if we look further down in order, we've then of course got a few more cars up in there too. Paul Neville's Escort marks is shown. But that's a pleasing sight. Jack Gadd's Mark 1 RSR is back on the grid, so that's going to be a car definitely to watch for. That will not stay around the back of the grid for very long. That will certainly charge through the pack where possible. So watch for that car, number 59, Jack Gadd, to absolutely fly through the order and hopefully get towards the front. Just pace slowing up a little bit so that everyone can get into formation. Everyone is there. And Modified Fords in a lovely, neat 2x2 formation. Really good formation stuff from the guys at Modified Fords here. Great stuff because everyone's all neatly bunched together. It's going to be a nice formation start as they come down the centre straight to get race number 3 underway. So, Escorts, Focuses, Fiestas, Sierras, Pumas and Capris. There's all sorts in this championship. In the series, it's on the championship. They're about to go for 15 more minutes for the final time this weekend. It's a brilliant grid. Should be a brilliant race. 15 minutes of Modified Ford Series action ready to get underway. Here's the pit lane cameras. They go side by side. Watch for the green red lights to go out. When they do, we are going to blast off for the Modified Ford Series one last time at Snetterton. Down towards turn 1. It's side by side again as it was, but once more as it was in race 1 and 2. It is Dave Cockell who holds on to the lead. Round the outside looks Martin Reynolds in the white car with the Ukraine coloured colours on the side of that Escort Mark II. And Dave Cockell is, as Dave Cockell does, which is to pull away quite quickly and dominate the race. Although I imagine that Simon Light might possibly get back towards it. I think Simon Light, possibly even he realises that Dave Cockell's car has got in full boost mode. Will have tons more horsepower than his car will. But I think Dave Cockell's probably turn it down a tiny bit so it allows at least to have a proper race and allow the likes of Simon Light and everyone else to enjoy a bit of a battle, because I'm sure he enjoys it too, even being amongst the grid and being amongst some of the cars in the field. But of course, at the same time, he still wants to win the race and be up there in front and be on top. So they're of course getting the right setup on that car to ensure it's being at its most competitive. So 15 minutes of racing already out through Oggies and now through the right-hander at Williams. And one car again I'm watching out for is going to be Jack Gadd in that Mark 1 RSR. Now, it looks like he was making quite a bit of early progress, but where exactly he is at the moment, I need to wait and see, because I don't know if he's just behind the Puma here already, but he started, of course, back in 27, so right on the back row of the grid. So I'm like trying to go with the Escort Cosworth. And there's Jack Gadd. He has wasted no time whatsoever. But there he is. He's got past Nigel Craig, so that's a phenomenal storm up through the grid. So Nigel Craig was 9th on the grid. So from 27, he's passed about 18 cars already through the field. That's extraordinary. So Jack Gads was certainly fired up after his car retired midway through race 1 yesterday with some kind of mechanical issue. It had a problem which slowed him down, and then when he came onto the pit straight, he parked the car pretty much just here on the run down towards Richie's corner on the outside line. Dave Cockell leads the opening lap, some 9/10 of a second ahead of Simon Light in second place, Shellswell third, Neville fourth, Reynolds fifth, Paxman sixth, Mike Furley through in 7th place, Craig in 8th. And I think Jack Gadd's car might have a not immediately functioning transponder, I think, because he has come through, I'm sure, somewhere in the top 10. There he is. He's up to 7th already. That's an extraordinary run. Make it 6th, because there he goes past Mike Furley. So Jack Gadd has charged his way from the back of the field, quite literally from 27th to 6th in just over a lap, which is absolutely extraordinary. But that just shows the pace of one of these space frame Mark 1 RSRs. So magnificent stuff from the number 59 car. Here's the tail. So in through the right-hander at Williams for the second time. Cockell trying to pull that lead out a bit more. Shellswell in 3rd place. There's Neville on his tail. And then immediately Martin Reynolds has got the ever-rapid Jack Gadd here. And he wastes absolutely no time in sailing past. We'll give him a wave. Hello, Martin. Goodbye, Martin. He's just as quick as that. He just charges past him. Down up into the top 5, would you believe? And immediately, you can see there, the battle for 3rd isn't that far away, because you've got, Ashley Shellswell and Paul Neville. There they are, and that's how quickly Jack Gadd has not only passed Martin Reynolds, but then pulled away by about roughly a second or so. I don't think he'd have the outright pace exactly to be able to catch and pass the top 2, maybe. But he'll certainly give it a go to at least close into these two. Past the pits, past my commentary box, have gone Dave Cockell and Simon Light. New fastest lap of the race for Cockell, 2 minutes 4.622. As they come down the pit straight once again. The RSR in good form now. Now it's on full song, making the most of that enhanced aerodynamics package. Jack Gadd has now popped up on the timing screen, so thankfully he has been manually inserted into the times, now in 5th position. Now his last lap was a 2 minute 5.264. The only car that was faster than that was Dave Cockell, so he is genuinely one of the fastest cars out there, which is, to no one's surprise, of course, but doing a grand job. So immediately, he's now looming large in the mirrors of both Paul Neville and Ashley Shellswell, and Neville's thinking about an attack on Shellswell into the hairpin. But he's now got 2 bewinged escorts on his tail, one of which is a little bit, arguably, quite a bit faster than the other one in terms of its current pace. Wouldn't surprise if Jack Gadd sends one up the inside here and goes a rip into Oggies, which he thinks about. He's going for it. But no, he sort of sat back and didn't fully commit to that. He sort of held back and braked and let Neville have the corner, because he realised that there's always a chance that Neville was going to turn across and cause a problem. So now on the straight, at least, he's got much more straight line power, puts his foot to the floor, and he's going to get past one of the escorts, just glides past Paul Neville. The better aero on this RSR should mean that he'll be straight onto the back bumper of Shellswell within a matter of seconds, I'd imagine. It's a very potent car in its own right. It's Paul Neville's RS2000, which is good to see. There's Mike Thurley's car in what is now currently 7th position. Martin Reynolds just went through the shot there in 6th. Ooh, now is that just dust, or is that a problem with the Mark 1? I'll keep tabs on that, but there was some, it looked like there was some, it was dust coming out the back from all that's been kicked up from the previous races, or that's an issue developing on the Mike Thurley car. Oh, that's Simon Light. Simon Light is the pit lane. So Simon Light is for 2nd place. A problem for the V8 Capri, I'm afraid. So into the pit lane goes Simon Light. That's unfortunate. It won't be 3 podiums in a row for the Capri. 111 car into pit lane, and that car with mechanical dramas of its own. So what you've just seen there was a pass for 2nd place rather than 3rd, because Jack Gadd has now put himself onto the overall podium. Now the last lap for him was a 2 minute 6.8. Oh no, he's pulled off again! Just so I look back at my timing screen, he's off the road again. So Jack Gadd, once again for the third time in this race, once again has problems with the Mark 1 RSR. Disaster for Jack Gadd. That is absolutely gutting. He was setting such a lightning pace. And tragically, we've seen two cars that were definitely going to win the podium given how fast they were, drop out in a matter of seconds. So what this now means is that Paul Neville runs in second place overall. He is quite a far away back from Dave Cockell, granted, but he's now up there in a runner-up spot. And Ashley Shellswell, so he's going to hold station in third place in that Sierra V6. Martin Reynolds still leads Class B. Because Paul Neville leads B+, and it's Class A lead for this man, Dave Cockell. And then it's a class lead for Class C, and that is the number 97 of Justin Fuller. That's the Ford Puma, so you can see a Puma up there battling for class honours. He's ahead of the number 2 car, which has that hit problems as well, because that's John Edwards Parton. Has that had an issue? Because I haven't seen that one come through. Yeah, that's not on the timing screen. So looks like that car's had a problem between races too, also, which has meant it couldn't start the race, which is a shame because taking 2 class wins, it was looking for a third. There goes the 57 car. That is of Tony Paxman. Further back, we've got Pumas here. It's one of the Super Tune cars, and that's the 191 car, which is of Harry Hardy. On the road, could see some Pumas out there in the series. Also a Puma Cup at one point. Saw a few regular spec cars, but then these Pumas have been slightly tweaked and modified. They've got a bit of a rear wing on them now, and they now start to compete more regularly in the essentially any of the Ford-based series that you find that are more all-comer style Ford-based series around the UK, including, of course, the modified Ford series. So headlights ablaze for Ashley Shellswell. And whether his car will start to find a bit more speed in the second half of this race, we'll have to wait and see, because Paul Neville does have quite a good measure of the pace of the car behind him. And I think it looks like Dave Cockell really has backed off his pace a lot, because his last out was a 2-minute 13.435, so he's not really looking to stretch out in front and be winning by 30, 40, 50 seconds, incredibly. He's looking to try at least running his own pace. And he did this in the first 2 races where, yes, Simon Light got close, but I think it was more the case that, not taking away at all from Simon Light's driving, but it looks like Dave was simply just managing the gap that he had and just driving at the pace he needed to rather than the pace he wanted to, which was absolutely flat out. So only just going as fast as he absolutely was required to ensure that he could keep the rest of the pack at bay. And it appears that that strategy seems to be working. So the battle we're looking at here at Nigel Craig. He's got the Harry Hardy Ford Puma just behind him. There goes Harry Hardy. Rear wheel on the back of that Puma. Certainly helping with a little bit more rear end stability and grip. Now up towards the complex. Once again, we've got about just under 4 minutes to go on the clock here for the third and final modified Ford Series race of the weekend here at Snetterton. And again, another brilliant addition to the timetable. And see here, this is now second and third again, because Paul Neville has been caught relatively quickly, it seems, by Ashley Shellswell again. There was a bit of a change between those two. There's Dave Cockell. And interesting enough, again, either it looks like he's just simply cruising and just taking it steady, not pushing too hard. But ironically, these two are pushing as hard as they dare, because they might sense there's a chance to have a bit of battle here with Dave Cockell. So, still second place for Neville, and still third place for Shellswell. But how quickly is that going to change, if at all? if they actually catch up to the Ford Escort Cosworth. So off the back straight they go once more. They're going to have this and probably at least, I think maybe 2 more laps to go, I think. And this, well, potentially, because look at the timer. If it takes them about 30 seconds from now to get to the line, there will definitely be at least 1 more lap to go. Then again, the leading cars are, at the moment, they're sort of lapping about 4 or 5 seconds quicker at the 2:09, 2:08 range. So they are certainly pressing on and not looking to ease off the gas at any stage of the imagination. So I imagine that either these two will swap places, or they'll see an opportunity that they could possibly get in terms of striking distance of Dave Cockell. But again, I think as soon as Dave Cockell sees them a bit larger in his mirrors, he'll simply just put his foot down and just make sure that he goes a little bit quicker to seal off the hat-trick of victories. Across the line will go our top 3, and Cockell's already gone through. Will indeed be the last lap of the race. And Cockell, yeah, immediately back on the pace again. He thinks, right, I've had my few laps of easing off, straight back in and pumps in a 2 minute 7.859. So again, quicker than the 2 cars behind him, just to ensure that his lead is safe enough for him to get across the line without too much worry, if any. Shelswell's got back past Paul Neville whilst we were looking at that sequence in 2nd place, but Neville coming back at him on the exit. Might get a good burst of traction towards Palmer as they hit the brakes for the left-hander. Shelswell on the inside line, so it'll have to be relying on. It'll have to rely on the racecraft of Paul Neville to try and hoodwink Shelswell if he can. It's going to be tricky, but I think he might want to have a chance to get past if possible. So Shelswell still holding on ahead of Neville. And interesting that we've got 3 of our class leaders in the top 4, because we've got the Class A leader Cockell, of course, leading. We've got Shelswell down to 2nd place, who, no, sorry, Neville is in 3rd place, who leads Class B+. You have the Martin Reynolds car, the Ford Escort with the wide arches, the Mark II with the Ukraine colours on the side, blue and yellow, in 4th position, and he currently holds Class B lead. So up towards what we think is the checker flag right now is going to come Dave Cockell. Meanwhile, they're still battling behind further down the order. Now this is interesting. There's a Puma and Escort here. This is not what Ashley Shelswell needs. He has to back right off to get involved because they're both side by side blocking the road. They're in their own battle, but Shelswell here is getting really held up, and Paul Neville charging up the inside to go through. They go either side of the Escort and the Puma, almost Hacken and Schumacher Spa 2000 style, and incredibly Paul Neville got through. That's extraordinary, and Stenny's boxed in. Actually, Shelswell wants to get through. The Puma's off the road across the grass. Across the line goes Dave Cockell to win the race. What an extraordinary sequence, and that truth was really no fault of the 2 cars battling for position. The 2 cars, the 2nd and 3rd, came a cropper. Paul Neville sprints to the line anyway and takes 2nd. Shelswell 3rd, and the poor Puma had nowhere to go and was practically locked up on the grass trying to get it stopped. What an extraordinary finish. But it is Dave Cockell who takes victory. 3 out of 3 for the Escort Cosworth. And Paul Neville, I think all the Christmases came at once after that one. It was a very daring move. I'd love to see the onboard of that, particularly I think from first the perspective of Paul Neville, and then from the Escort that was he passed on the left-hand side. I think he even passed both of those cars in one move. It was all 3. It was the Sierra and the Puma and the Escort all in one move through into Coram. That was quite extraordinary and fantastic at the same time. So Cockell leads, it takes the victory. Neville actually 2nd back again on the last lap after that extraordinary move. I think Richard definitely needs to talk to him about that, because that was certainly one of the moves of the weekend, I have to say. Shelswell 3rd, Reynolds 4th, Mike Thurley 5th, Tony Paxman 6th, and then 7th place for Nigel Craig, 8th for Harry Hardy, 9th for Justin Fuller, and 10th for Rob Lewis. He'll be happy with that. P10 for Rob. Excellent drive for Rob to get into the top 10. Well done him. Hasn't crossed the line just yet, but he will do shortly, I imagine. One of the Pumas coming to the line now. And yeah, hasn't crossed the line just yet. Waiting for the last few cars to come through. I think that's him just coming out of Murray's now, so we'll keep an eye on that. few more cars coming to the line now. There's Jason Stone, who is running behind Lewis, and that's one of the XR2s there. Rob Lewis does come across the line and does pick up P10, so that's a really strong effort. He'll be pleased with that. It's 5th in class, granted, but still an overall top 10 amongst a very strong Class B. He should be very happy with that. And if Richard can get a word with him, because unfortunately we missed out getting a word with him live in race 1, that'd be quite a good thing to do, I think, if you can. Here comes Richard Sanders. That's an ex-Fiesta Junior car, in fact. That's, if I'm correct, I think that's an ex-Jake Weston car. I think that was Jake Weston who was here yesterday racing in the Fun Cup Championship. And then last couple of the cars, I think, have just come across the line. Yes, they have. So a couple of cars stopped in the last couple of laps, but everyone's come through that was still running. So the race completed. And again, big thank you to Paul Neville and everyone at Modified Fords, and of course to SHP Motorsport Engineering for sponsoring this round. Of course, do be sure to go and check them out on their website and on Facebook, and of course Scale Extrix for their perpetual support of Modified Fords as well. There goes Rob Lewis and the Ford Focus. And here's the result for race number 3. Dave Cockell takes the victory by 8.93 seconds after an extraordinary sequence for second place. Paul Neville literally snatching second place from Ashley Shelswell on the final couple of corners as the poor Sierra was boxed in between the two cars. He was lapping as they were battling their own. Marty Reynolds takes 4th, Mike Thurley 5th, Tony Paxman 6th, then it's Nigel Craig 7th, Harry Hardy 8th, Justin Fuller 9th. And then in 10th place, it was Rob Lewis in the Club Racing UK Ford Focus ST170. 11th for Jason Stone. Then it's Wise in the Sierra Sapphire cars, not the Escort. Tim Sandu, Kevin Hadfield, Richard Sanders, it's the number 6 of Martin, Mark Hadfield and Tinto running at the 18 cars. And then we had the Smiths stop on the last couple of laps. The Ben Cochran Fiesta XR2 also made it into 20th position. And then we saw a few more retirements, including Jack Gadd, Simon Light, and also Lloyd Jameson as well. Right, time to head down to Parc Fermé to have a chat with Dave Cockell, and I'm certain with those 2nd and 3rd place cars, because that was one of the moments of the weekend. What a bizarre finish for 2nd place.
Thanks very much, Scott. Dave Cockell, well, 3 out of 3 for you. We only get to talk to you for the 2nd time, which is unfortunate, but I'm glad we did, and you must be glad you came here this weekend.
I'm super glad. First class weekend. I didn't expect the outcome, to be fair. 3 races is a lot for the old girl. So yeah, to win 3, I'm ecstatic.
We'll waffle on about the heat, but does it affect these cars? It would definitely affect me if I was driving. Yeah,
I suffered in qualifying. I think I might have said that earlier, but yeah, it's been a management of heat. So yeah, it's not been that particular race weren't flat out. Yeah.
I think you got some viewers. I mean, you wanted to say hello to?
Oh yeah. I'd like to say hi to all my family, but most of all my 4 grandchildren, Declan, Regan, David and Charlie.
The RSCC junior drivers of the future.
Junior drivers on the way, yes.
Absolutely brilliant. And the other thing I noticed about your car when I was looking in the paddock yesterday, you got Rob Boston on the back. Rob Boston Motorsport, what's his involvement?
Rob's been a mate for a while. Paul, who mechanics for me, he's done a lot of work with Rob. Yeah, so I've known Rob quite a while. He does give us the occasional input on the car.
Excellent, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a brilliant guy.
Dave, well done, a great weekend. Lovely to see you. Thanks very much indeed. We'll catch up with you. We've got the overall podium. How you doing? We've got to get Ashley as well. Yeah. Paul's here, we'll get Paul over. Absolutely, yeah.
Sorry.
Paul, what a fantastic series this is. Obviously very welcome visitors to Snetterton and BRSCC, but what a great show. And I remarked to Dave earlier on, this was for me like watching BRSCC Thunder Saloons back in the day.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's just it's a bit of a revival. Everybody loves these cars, don't they?
Actually, I'll be honest, it's probably stronger than Thunder Saloons was.
Yeah, it's getting stronger by the day, I think. So more to come of this.
So how do you put all that together?
Just sharing the love, you know. We run a good series. We don't make it too tight. It allows people to come in. Every race we got different cars coming out, so the interest is always there for everybody, really. It's not the same stuff. Lots of different cars, and people love it.
And you're running the Mark II there. Beautiful, the drop snoot front. I love those. And you got a Duratec engine in there?
Yeah, 2.3 Duratec. So, it's a little bit down on power amongst the big boys, but keep your foot in, and I'll keep up with them sometimes. So, first podium I've had. Yeah.
First ever podium.
Not ever, not ever. No, in this series, because obviously we're up against a lot of big cars, a lot of big power, and being in a lower class, I don't manage to get to it. But this weekend, it's done really well. And I had a great race with Ash. So that's what makes it all worthwhile. That's what makes us come back, doesn't it?
I need to grab a word with Ash as well. We've got cars coming out. Paul, thanks for the chat. Thanks for coming with us this weekend. Ashley, can we get a word with Ash? Here it comes. Quick word, because we've got cars on the grid and we didn't want to miss out our third place podium man. We'll get you to stand there so we can get a good view for the camera. Congratulations. And that car's got a Mustang engine, is that right?
That's it, yeah. It's the late 2011 Mustang 3.7 V6.
It would be lovely to do features on the cars and build up. We can't really do it on the live streams, but hopefully for another day we will. How long have you had that car?
I should say about 12 years now. Used an ex-Brian Long car, he had it before. I crashed my old car at Brands Hatch. I went to start building another one and Brian said, don't build another one, you can have mine. So I ended up buying that.
Much development?
I've spent loads on it, yeah. I hope the missus ain't watching.
Yeah, we won't ask how much. But great to see you on the podium and a nice battle with Paul there.
That's brilliant, really enjoyed that. Yeah, I broke a diff yesterday, so I'm on a longer diff, that's why I'm 3 seconds a lap slower. But as long as I'm battling, I don't care.
Brilliant, thanks very much. Well done on the podium. Thank you for talking to us. Ashley Shellswell there in the Mustang-powered Sierra. How about that? Paul Neville in the Mark II with the Duratec engine, and triple winner Dave Cocker. We spoke to all those guys about their cars.